Okay, good morning. Today we're going to answer the question of what is the Mishnah and what is the Mishneh Torah? Okay, and the question is here, why should you study them? So let's go right into this question. Again, the question is, what is the Mishnah? What is the Mishnah? Okay, what is the Mishneh Torah? And why should you study them? Okay, the question of what the Mishnah is goes back to the scriptural launching point of the Beit Din Gadol, that is the high court or the court of appeals in ancient Israel. And we derive this idea, first of all, let's go to Numbers chapter 11. We see in Numbers 11 that the Almighty takes the Ruach, the spirit that is on Moses, and he puts it specifically onto the elders of Israel. Look at here, Numbers 11:16. And the Lord said unto Moses, gather unto me 70 men, Ifsali Shiva'im Ish Mizikane Israel, 70 men from the elders of Israel, whom you know to be elders of the people, officers over them. Okay, they're already, it says Zikane, they're already elders of Israel, they're already Shotrim, they're already officers over the people, and bring them to the tent of meeting. Okay, and then we're going to go to verse 20, verse 26, actually verse 25. Well, you read Adonai Ba'anan, the Lord came down in the cloud Wadaber Alayu, and spoke unto him, Wayatzel min haruach, and took of the Ruach, the spirit, Asher Alayu, which was upon him, upon Moses, Wayatain el Sheve'im Ish Hazikanim, and put it upon the 70 elders. Wayahi Chanoach Alehem Haruach, and the spirit rested upon them. I've noted before in previous videos that this word Ruach, okay, it's translated here as spirit. Unfortunately, it's translated with a lowercase, and due to a number of the theological biases of the reader of the English Bible, they won't realize the impact of what this word is. This word ruach is the word spirit, wind, or breath. It can be translated as spirit, as in spirit of God. In Hebrew, there are no differentiations between capital and lowercase. You can see it's all the same case here, okay? And so when a translator brings this word ruach into English with a lowercase s, it automatically entails like the spirit of a person versus the spirit of God, which is uppercase, right? That's the convention within English. But the fact is that the spirit of the Almighty was taken from Moses and put onto the 70 elders, okay? And those 70 elders plus Moses constituted the high court of appeals in ancient Israel. We go to Deuteronomy chapter 17, and we're told here, this is verse 8 through 12. We're going to do a quick summary of this. This is really important to explain what the Mishnah is. So it says, Ki yepale mimcha davar lemishpat. If there arise among you a matter too difficult in a davar lemishpat, in the matter of mishpat. Mishpat would be a case law in matters of ruling, okay? Something that's not being settled by the lower courts. It's being appealed in this case. Bein dam la dam, bein din la din, bein nega la nega. Okay, in between blood and blood, in between judgment claim and judgment claim, in between strike and strike. Divrei rivioth, okay, matters of controversy, bisharecha, in your gates. Wachamta wa alitha, you shall rise, you shall go, el hamachom asher yevchar Adonai Elohecha bo, to the place which the Lord your God shall choose. Okay, this ultimately became Jerusalem. That was the place that the Almighty chose to place his name and to have the temple. And it says, Uvata el hakohanim haleviim. Okay, you should go to the priests, the Levites, well el hashofet, and to the judge, asher yehyeh bayamim hahem, which shall be in those days. Waderashta, they shall inquire, wahijidu, they shall declare, lecha, to you, et davar hamishpat, they shall declare to you the matter of judgment. Okay, davar hamishpat. And then here's the command, verse 10. Wa'asita al Pei hadavar asher yajidu lacha. You shall do according to the word, the pay, the word, the pay, the mouth, okay, of the word which they shall declare to you. Okay, from who? Those who are min hamachum hahu asher yivchar Adonai. Those who are in the place that the Lord chose. Shamarta la'asod, you shall guard or protect. B'chol asher yerucha, all that they teach you. This word yerucha This is the root of Torah. All that they Torah you. It's using the word Torah to instruct or to teach. Okay. He goes on to say, "Al pei haTorah," according to the mouth, the pei haTorah, the mouth of the instruction, the mouth of the Torah, asher yerucha, which they shall teach you. Well, al hamishpat, according to the judgment, asher yimaru lecha, which they shall declare to you. Ta'asa, you shall do. And here's a really important commandment: Lo tasor, do not turn away, do not turn away. Lo tasor. Min hadavar asher yajidu lecha. You should not turn away from the word that they command you. Okay, this is the basis for the establishment of a national court system. It's a national court system that was centered ultimately in Jerusalem. And let's go back to the slide here. This court, we were given the one Torah at Sinai. Okay, the court was commissioned at Sinai to issue matters of ruling. Their rulings are called Pehatorah, the mouth of the Torah. Okay, their rulings are called Torah. In the passage that we just read, they're called Mishpat Davar, matters of Mishpat. They're called Yerucha, which they shall teach you or Torah you. And these rulings are cumulative. Okay, they are cumulative, and we have a tradition of these rulings. Okay, and that tradition was put into writing in what we call the Mishnah. The Mishnah essentially is the case law of the Sanhedrin. There's more than just case law in Mishnah. There's Agada and other types of genre in there. But the case law, okay, the specific case law rulings in the Mishnah are binding as part of our command, lo tasor, not to turn away from the Sanhedrin, okay? After the Mishnah was written, and we'll get into the history here shortly, we have other literature that debates the meanings of the Mishnah. So the Mishnah, the history of the Mishnah here, I'm not sure if I can illustrate this well or not, but I will try. We have the tabernacle. The tabernacle was instituted somewhere in the 1600s. It continued until the about the year 1000. Okay, and during that time period, we had the judges. We had the Sanhedrin, we had times of apostasy, times of righteousness, the Shoftim. Okay, we have a whole book called this. Okay, the later term for Shoftim is rabbi. Okay, that's a later term that came about 1,000 years later because of the change of language. But we have a whole book named after the judges called the Shoftim, the judges. The first temple was built about the year 1000, and it stood, okay, during the time period of, we have obviously King Solomon, the kings of Judah. That temple was destroyed about the year 597. Okay, we went into the Babylonian exile in Babylon. At that time period, we lost the Sanhedrin. Okay, however, we restored the Sanhedrin at about the year, I won't give the year because there's some debate there, but upon the return from exile, Ezra and the men of the Great Assembly reinstituted the Sanhedrin. Simple enough. We are commanded to have a Sanhedrin. The nation reinstituted the Sanhedrin. We had a Sanhedrin that was issuing binding rulings. Okay, this is in complete continuity with the past. Complete continuity. Okay, that continues all throughout the Second Temple period. At times of our tension with Rome and with occupying powers, what did they do? They came against the Sanhedrin. The individual members of the Sanhedrin had ordination, semicha. Semicha is ordination. That semicha went all the way back to Sinai. We saw Numbers 11 with the giving of the Spirit on the 70. That ordination continued, okay? And there were times when Rome, for example, killed half of the members of the Sanhedrin that had semicha, okay? One of the best ways to put your thumb on the Jewish people is to go against the central authorities, and that's what Rome did, okay? The Sanhedrin, this represents the Kotel, the wall. About the year 70, the temple was destroyed. The Sanhedrin of necessity was disbanded. The individual members, though, who had semicha, who had ordination, reconvened and regathered in Yavne, in Jabnia, okay? And from that time period, over the next 100 years, they continued to operate as a national Sanhedrin. And during that time period, in the latter part of that time period, Yehuda Hanasi, okay, Judah the prince, he was the head of the Sanhedrin. He began the process of codifying and redacting into writing the issuances, the rulings of the Sanhedrin, okay? He took this task upon himself, and this is what we have in the orders of the Mishnah, all 6 orders of the Mishnah. This was a very painstaking effort to codify this. Part of the commitment to truth and integrity of this process was the recording of diverse opinions. Typically, with every ruling, you will have an opinion or two that diverged. All the opinions were preserved, including the ones that were accepted. There was such a commitment to truth that was the case. And what we see here with the Mishnah, okay, unfortunately, it's unfortunate that the Mishnah had to be written, okay? Before it was written, the word Mishnah means repetition. Just like the word Shana, like year, means a cycle around, a new cycle of the sun, okay? The word Mishnah means repetition. It means repetition. And the reason why we call the Mishnah is because this was the repeated tradition. This was the Torah Shebialpe. This was the instruction that was on the mouth, Shebialpe, upon the mouth, that was repeated from student to teacher, from teacher to student, okay? And this was memorized. We had this memorized. The Mishnayot were memorized by the students. And we kept a very clear distinction for centuries between the Humash, between the Torah, the written Torah, and the case law rulings. We kept them distinct by not putting the case law rulings into writing. You will note that other sects did put them into writing, like the Dead Sea sect, for example, they codified, they wrote down their halacha, their rulings, okay? But we did not. As a nation collective, we did not until we absolutely had to. And we did that, and that's the Mishnah. Okay, there's so much more that can be said than that. I'm giving such a brief summary of such a bigger picture here, okay? And so the Mishnah is basically the completed project of building a Lego set, okay? Imagine this. A father gives a box of Legos to his child, okay? Those Legos are like the commandments. They are the commandments, the mitzvot, 613 commandments. The father says, build, okay? And the building is done. The building is done. The child or the children build this enormous city that is functional. It works. All the gates open at the right times. It has the right protections. It has the right infrastructure to support itself. It's a functional city, okay? The father says, that's great. I'm very pleased in what you've done there, okay? That's what the Mishnah is. It's the completed Lego project of a city compared to the building blocks, okay? The commandments are the building blocks. The end result is the city that was built, a functional city. And here's why, in many ways, the Mishnah is inimitable. You can't imitate it, okay? The Mishnah not only has the authority of those with semicha, those who have the authority to issue national level rulings, but it also works functionally. It's a codification of how the Torah is applied on a national level. I can't emphasize that enough. The Torah, the Chumash, was never meant to be a book that a person reads just on their own and applies in their own private pious life. It's a national document given to a nation in order to run that nation, okay? Hashem did not reveal himself to a group of evangelical Protestants or a group of Protestants from the Reformation who were looking for a book to guide their private devotions and to dictate what to think in their heads, their doctrines. No, the Almighty gave the commandments for a nation to apply, and we built those commandments into a structure that we were authorized to build, okay, and it works. Nothing works better than it. The Mishnah is Torah study level 901. Okay, level 101 might be reading the Torah occasionally in English. Okay, at some point, level maybe 501 is reading the Torah, the Humash in Hebrew. Level 901, this is Mishnah. This is taking the study of the written Torah to the next level. It is intense. The Mishnah is deceptively simple. It is not simple. There's so much unpacking to do with each phrase of the Mishnah. A simple 2 or 3 words might require unpacking chapters of Humash of the Torah to understand. It is amazing. It is impressive. Okay, and so because the Jewish people are a nation, the Mishnah is essential to the application of the Torah. Let's continue here on some more slides. Just a moment. This is really important, and I need to emphasize this. This comes from the website TorahJudaism.com, which I mentioned before. I may or may not endorse the site. It's just a great illustration infographic. We discussed already how the Creator gave semicha. Well, first of all, the Creator gave Torah at Sinai. He gave semicha, ordination, to Moses and to the 70 elders. Okay, we have that reference right here. So the Almighty gives us the 5 books of the Torah, the Humash, the 5 books, the Humash. Then he gives us the judges. Okay, and as we've discussed, the judges codified the the code of the rulings of the judges were codified in the Mishnah. Okay, this era right here, the time of the Mishnah, this is called the Tanaim. They were the teachers, they were the repeaters, they were the ones that that had semicha. Sometime around the year 300 to 350, we lose semicha. We lose that national level of authority. After the Mishnah, here's what we get. We get the Gemaras. We get the Bavli and the Yerushalayim. Okay, these we call it the Talmuds. Okay, the 2 Talmuds. These are a key to unlocking the meaning of the Mishnah. The individuals that composed and contributed to the Gemaras, to the Talmuds, they are often called the Amoraim. Okay, the Amoraim were the discussers that debated the meanings of the Mishnah. Insofar that the Amoraim are correct in their exposition of what's in the Mishnah and the Humash, they are binding. Okay, they are binding, but they don't have the inherent semicha, ordination, that the Tanaim of the Mishnaic era had. So as a result, sometimes they're called opinion literature. Okay, so we have the 2 Gemaras. The time period here, the Mishnah is codified between the year 180 and the year 220. Okay, after the Mishnah is codified, about the year 400 until about the year 600, that's where we get the Talmuds put into writing. The Talmuds, again, were the debate literature that debate the meanings of the Mishnah. Don't forget that the Amoraim were students and students of the students of the Tanaim. Okay, so they have a really important role. After the era of the Talmuds, we have the Gaonim, the heads of the academies. Okay, we have the heads of the academies in Bavli, in Yerushalayim, and after that we have the Rishonim. Okay, and this is where the Rambam comes in. The Rambam was very controversial in his project. He codified for us the Mishneh Torah. Mishneh Torah is meant to be, in many ways, a way for the individual practitioner to make halachic decisions potentially without a posek. And that's not even completely true, but that was part of the intent. The intent was to give a code that summarized the existing and prevailing opinions. Okay, so what Rambam does is he goes and he takes the Mishnah. Okay, he goes through both Gemaras and he brings down for us the majority opinion through the Gemaras, through the Talmud. I think he favors the Bavli. I'm not quite sure on that, but he brings down for us the majority opinion, what was deemed the correct opinion, through the Mishnah, through the Gemaras. Okay, so he brings down a very practical halacha. One thing beautiful about Mishneh Torah is that it is heavily focused on Torah Geula. That is the way the Torah is practiced in Eretz Israel, in the Geula, in the land. Okay, he's heavily focused on that. And instead of many of the later codes often focus on Torah Galuth, the Torah of our exile, Rambam focuses very much on Torah Geula, Torah is kept in the land. And also, Rambam doesn't focus as much on local minhag. Okay, he's focused very much on the halacha. And of course, he's giving us his opinions, and insofar that he's correct, he's correct. Okay, it is not inherently, he's not inherently binding. The Rambam did not have semicha at the level, at least, of the Sanhedrin. But the Rambam is brilliant. He wrote in simple Hebrew with the intent that Jews all over the world would be able to benefit from what he contributed. It is a beautiful thing. The Rambam often wrote in Judeo-Arabic, okay, in his more philosophical works. But when he came to the codification of Jewish law, okay, when he brought down for us the authoritative understandings of the Mishnah through the Gemaras, when he brought those down for us, he wrote in simple Hebrew that every Jew could understand. And part of why he was controversial at the time is that before he did this, the Gemaras are a very lofty task. It can take a lifetime to master the Mishnah, let alone the Gemaras. And so the individual practitioner, the individual Jew who wanted to do the halacha, he would often have to consult a posek, okay, an authority, and that's fine. That's beautiful. There's still a need for that. There always will be. But what the Rambam did was make the information accessible so that in matters of basic halacha, capital H, that the individual would be able to make decisions. Okay, so why should you study the Mishnah and Mishneh Torah? I've given some of the answers. The one is that studying the commandments of the Chumash, of the written Torah, is like looking at Lego pieces. Okay, studying the Mishnah is studying how they function, how they work together in a cohesive whole, how they work in a cohesive whole. Okay, uh, and that's important. And the Torah without the application is not going to have the same impact as the Torah without the application. Okay, and this is Mishnah is the application, and it is critical for the practitioner to understand the building blocks of the halakha. The Mishnah then forms the basis for the debates in the Gemaras and is the basis of our practical lived halakha. Okay, the Mishnah is not eternally binding. At some point, we will have a new Sanhedrin of greater weight, kavod, than the previous Sanhedrin, and they will have semicha, and they will issue rulings that may even disagree with the rulings in the Sanhedrin, and that's perfectly fine. This is what we have for now. It's binding for now. Okay, and so why study Mishnah? You are studying the application of Torah for Am Yisrael, for the nation as a people. Why study Mishneh Torah? Mishneh Torah then takes us down further. Okay, takes us through the debates in the Gemaras and gives us a very practical, livable halacha to apply to one's life. Combined together, the Mishnah and the Mishneh Torah make a powerful contribution to your growth in the mitzvot, in the commandments. Okay, they are profoundly important. Obviously, for the Jew, the Ben Berith, the son of the covenant, this is imperative for you to study. Absolutely. Okay. And we are going to study the commandments, and it is my understanding there is at this current time there is a popular understanding that the non-Jew should not study Humash and not study Mishnah, not study oral law, etc. That opinion is very common. It's very prevailing. I should almost do a video just on that topic by itself. But the prohibition against studying the Talmuds and the Mishnah is rooted in in the status of the non-Jew. The non-Jew being discussed in the Gemaras and in Mishneh Torah is the akum, it's the idolater, it's the oved avodah zarah, someone who practices avodah zarah. Now, for the non-Jew who's given up avodah zarah, who's given it up, or who's trying to give it up, the opinion is growing and is gaining more traction that they should study these things. They absolutely should study these things. And there's even the opinion right now that everybody should have access to these materials and study them, even if they are an Achum or an Oved Avodah Zarah. Okay, that opinion is present as well too. I am definitely promoting the observance of Torah for Jews. I'm of the opinion that the non-Jew needs to give up Avodah Zarah and move toward taking on the yoke of the Torah. That is my opinion, and I think I'm right, or I would not be saying it. Although I am humble enough to admit that there are others that disagree with me on that, and that's a discussion for a different day. Okay, I'm going to stop this right here, and I hope I've given enough to. Oh, let me also end with this. As you know, on Sunday evenings we do a group discussion on Mishnah Walk. We are currently unpacking Mishnah Sanhedrin. Okay, that is going to continue. I don't have a date for the launch yet, but we're going to be launching an hour study a day. It'll be Monday through Friday, and it'll be focused on the Mishnah, the Mishneh Torah, and the parsha for the week. Okay, it'll be 20 minutes of Mishnah, 20 minutes of Mishneh Torah, 20 minutes of the Aliyah for the Humash. Okay, for the parsha for that week. That's coming up here soon. This will be offered live every day. Okay, it will be archived and accessible, so you don't need to be there to be able to benefit from it. The objective with this study is to help move people into greater observance, into a greater appreciation of Jewish religiosity. It's really important to me that people understand and have an appropriate appreciation for Jewish spirituality and realize that it's not, well, that there are so many misconceptions out there about it, and etc. So my goal with this is to draw people into a closer relationship to Hashem, to a better understanding of how to live out the Almighty's love languages. He obviously likes acts of service and time, and we're going to work on the mitzvot. The Aramaic for mitzvah, okay, it means to connect, okay, and so we've made a big deal of the fact that a mitzvah is a connection point to the Almighty. By making a mitzvah, we are making a relational connection to the Almighty. It's similar to if you have a spouse whose love language is acts of service, and you go and you wash the dishes, you put out the garbage, you pick up individual items after yourself, and you do items that affirm that you value your spouse and that you love your spouse. You do those things because you love your spouse, right? And it's similar with the Almighty. It's obvious that acts of service are important to the Almighty. A mitzvah is a connection point, and we're looking to promote mitzvot, the observance of the commandments. So much more can be said here. I have to keep it short, and any questions, let me know, and we'll be in touch.